Unspoken Issues.
What got cut? I tried to find some of like the top toys for Christmas in 1996, and I found shit for lists for that. I did pull up the top video games of 1996 just to kind of throw those out there, because at that point in my life, I wanted to get some video games. All right, and if I could get something for Christmas, it would be the video games. And the big video game system that hit that year, I think it was that year, was the Nintendo 64. Right.
Yeah, PlayStation and Saturn are the year prior. $2.99. You remember that?
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Okay, Sega Saturn at whatever it was. I think it was the electronic.
Yes.
Whatever that thing. They go on and on about how fucking great the Saturn is and all this stuff. And then the PlayStation guy, he say it's going to be $3.99. He just gets up there and all he says is $2.99 and just sits back down. And that's it. And the war was over between the two at that point.
Yeah.
It was done.
Right. Mario Kart 64 is number 13 on this list.
Great game.
Which I know I've told you guys about Golden Age Dave when we were just becoming friends and buds at that point, and he got a 64 in 1996. He ended up getting Mario Kart, but only had one controller. And he ended up coming down to the house, and we scoured the place. I think it was around Christmas, or at least getting close to it, looking for another controller and hitting Toys R Us. And good golly, those controllers back then were expensive. I'll never forget that, though. And then we went back up to the dorm room, had two controllers, and playing Mario Kart 64. And we were sitting there thinking, man, what would it be like to have?
Never class again.
Oh, no. I could tell you so many stories about skipping class and playing NFL primetime football on the Genesis. Yeah. Oh.
When summer 97, the summer after I got Outward Bound, it was between my junior and senior year, I house set for somebody, and they had an N64, and they had Mario Kart 64, and I house set for them for like 4 weeks. When I first got there, I was like, this game, I can never going to get it. Man, I could destroy that game by the time I left. I was really good at that game.
Oh, yeah. Number 12 was Tomb Raider, which I was definitely playing on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Don't recall this one. Blood Omen Legacy of Kain. Ring any bells for you guys?
I know of it, but I never played it.
Okay. Vandal Hearts, which I've heard of, never played.
Same.
Looking at it here. Konami. Number 9 was, now this one was a staple. A staple of Sergeant Hall.
Shit. We're bringing fucking office supplies into this.
There were 2 games we played at the dorm. And when we got into the dorm, this was the first time we ever had the opportunity to actually be on I want to say LAN, but basically a network.
Yeah, LAN server.
Yeah. Duke Nukem 3D. And
that one I had.
I had that one for the PlayStation. Yeah, man.
We played the shit out of that one on the computer. You would hear people yelling and screaming at each other through the halls because the other guy blew them up. It was fun.
Somebody put that game on the computer in my school in GT. And obviously, this is a game like, shake it for me, baby. You're taking a piss and making strippers take their clothes off or whatever. GT's gifted and talented. They decided for whatever reason that I was smart. And they can put me in this spot for smart kids. Joke's on fucking them. And this would be a common thing with the GT classes, because I'd be in GT from 4th grade until I graduated. None of these teachers were smart. You got to have a special person to be the gifted and talented teacher. You don't. And so our teacher could not figure out how to get this game off of the fucking computer.
Oh, no.
Because you had to go into DOS to get it to start. It wasn't like it had Windows, but this was the old run around trigger redo,
That's right.
And so she could not figure out how to get it off of there. And sometimes she'd catch it. She'd be like, if I see Duke Nukem one more time, you're going to the And then later I got it for my PlayStation, and that's when I learned that I had vertigo, because I didn't have it until then.
Yep.
And then I was like, holy shit, I don't know why I'm messed up. But I was, and it was still fun, but I couldn't really play first-person shooters after that. But fun game. But the best game from that era, third-person shooter, it's Wolfenstein 3D. You just kill Nazis, man. Nazi after fucking Nazi after fucking Nazi. You're blowing them away, throwing grenades, bazookas, whatever. Anything where you can kill Nazis. That's the best. Even in Doom, you get to kill a bunch of Nazis. That door opens and all these Nazis, well, kill these guys. They're the same as the demons I just killed. Love it. Nothing but respect for Doom Guy.
Old Doom Guy. Number 8 was Wild Arms.
I always get it confused with Wild Guns, which is this weird Western type thing. I was going to reference it anyway during the Rawhide Kid story. But you move your cursor and you can see your guy and you can jump, but you can't move forward and back. It's fun. It's very hard. But you're in the Old West. You fight a fucking dude who shoots a laser flamethrower at you, but it looks old-timey, steampunkish.
Okay.
So I thought that's what it was. But Wild Arms, I've heard. I always get the two confused. That's why I was like, let me make sure. Wild Guns, I'm terrible at, but man, is it fun.
Yeah. The next one is King's Field 3. Never played it, never heard of it.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell.
I guess it's probably one of the PCs.
Is it a PC game?
Yeah, it's a PC game.
Not a PC game. Oh, Darry's nodding his head. He's like, oh, I know all about it. You fucking
I remember. I knew it was a PC.
Rubes.
I knew it was a PC game because I didn't play any PC games. So
oh, there you go.
That's how I recall it.
Go into Electronic Gaming Monthly and you look at the PC games and you're like, wow, I didn't think I could afford Nintendo games.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I was obsessed with the 64. We played everything. We rented every game we get our hands on. Someone got a new one. We traded it. We passed it around. I played that system more than any other combined.
Nice.
The only PC games I remember playing at the time, I had a friend who had a PC, and he had Civilization 2 and Warcraft 2. Hell yeah, I'm fucking in for these bad boys. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But other than that, anything. I guess I played Doom and Wolfenstein 3D at school. It's funny. I'm like, those aren't PC games. I played them at school. What?
On a PC.
On a PC. But I don't think of them the same way for whatever reason. I guess because I was at school versus at home, really being able to enjoy myself, not like looking over my shoulder to make sure that my teacher would also get mad if we played Wolfenstein 3D. And I was like, but we're killing Nazis. What's the problem here? She disagreed.
Darry, you'll recognize this one, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars.
Oh.
Yeah.
Played it to 100% completion. I love that game. And the new one's coming out this Christmas. I'm going to buy it and play it again.
I have never gotten into it. I've started it 7 or 8 times. I can tell it's good, but I'm old now, so it's hard. But we're trying to play WrestleQuest right now, but then we're going to try and do that for our next JRPG because I want to do it. It looks cool. I've looked at videos of it. You get to be Bowser. That's fucking tight.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm sure y'all have games that are the same. I've started it 7 times and just never got over this hump.
Mm-hmm. Link to the Past. I've started that and never finished it. Love that
That's
game.
too bad. I've played that game 1,000,000 times. It's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of people love it. I know.
Oh, I haven't played any Zelda games since the 64, but it's hard for me to believe they've gotten one as good as that one still.
The Triforce is looking at me right above Darry's shoulder there.
Right. Oh yeah,
I see it back over there.
His house is covered in Zelda stuff. I have a Triforce tattoo on my back.
Oh no shit! Oh, that's awesome.
Damn.
Dude.
Yeah, I'm
Awesome.
a real when it comes to that.
All right, next up, number 5, Crash Bandicoot.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Love that game. Love that game. Really, what I remember more than anything are those fucking commercials where he would go to Nintendo headquarters, yell at him with his megaphone.
Some DX shit right there.
Yeah, you try to be talking to some old lady about how great the game was. I swear to God, like Pizza Hut copied it and did their own version type thing of it around the same time. I remember that more clear than I remember the game, but I remember liking the game. I mean, it's a very Mario game. That's what they were going for. It's a very...
It was, but it really...
Not in a bad way. I don't mean that in a bad way. It had its own spin on it. It wasn't a direct copy, say, Adventure Island or anything, where it was just pretty much make a good game like this. It did its own thing. But they were going for that. They wanted you to identify that with the console.
I just said it was 3D, but it held your hand.
Yeah.
Like, Mario 64 was the game that was included with the N64.
Right.
And I couldn't play the damn thing because I was terrible in 3D. Crash was, we assume you're terrible at this, so we're going to hold your hand. And I was like, absolutely, yes, please. Please, thank you.
Yeah, when I was house sitting, they had Mario 64, and I just couldn't figure, I could never jump on this fucking Goomba. You could not figure out spatially. But yeah, if you play Resident Evil 2, you can just put a thing on, like, the exits are here. Okay,
yeah.
I need that. Thank you. Thank you.
That's what I want.
I remember I got a PlayStation. It must have been the year before, and I did not have Crash Bandicoot, but instead I got the PlayStation Underground disc that came with
the demos.
It had all the demos.
Yeah.
And that
when I got my
Crash
PlayStation in '97, I had one, and I remember just driving my mom crazy. The same Paul Rappa the Rappa song. Just
oh my gosh, Paul Rappa the Rappa.
Yeah.
That's a great throwback. All under the mind. That's right. It's good stuff right there. All right, number 4. This is a franchise that I never played very much. Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble.
I played the first 2 and loved them, but never played that.
Yeah, they're really lauded as they're very
must play platinum. platformers. I just never played 3. We're only going to have new Super Nintendo games until the next year. I want to say the last SNES game was like NCAA Football 97 or something. We're almost done. So at this point, if I wanted to play Super Nintendo, I had to borrow one from a friend. I had to borrow the hookup shit. I couldn't find the hookup shit anymore.
Yeah. Number 3, Dean, you just mentioned this, Resident Evil from Capcom. Yeah.
And remember we talked about the comic that came with it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, comic, good game. I didn't play this one until later because I didn't get a PlayStation until it was Christmas of 97 when I got it. And I played the Resident Evil Director's Cut. Watch out. You better watch the fuck out. I was waiting for their original. I didn't see what the suits made them do.
I got you.
That wasn't just the point to sell people the same game. Or in my case, get me to buy a game I hadn't bought before. It was easier to find.
That's true. Number 2, a franchise that is still around to today. A lot of these are still around to today, but 96 kicked off a lot of great stuff that's still around. Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow. So if you're a Pokemon player,
not for me. It's just slightly after my time.
Most Pokemon I've ever dealt with is on Pokemon Go, and that was for a year maybe, where I was walking around and playing Pokemon Go.
When I worked at Cartoon Network, I saw a lot of Pokemon. They show a lot of it.
Oh, okay.
And my friends, I worked with people who are 5, 6 years younger than me, and they love it. When they describe it, it sounds a lot like Dragon Quest, honestly, if you play these, if you want Dragon Warrior, like the same, but it's just after my time. I'm not going to do this.
I got you. And number 1, we've already mentioned it, Super Mario 64.
All right.
I always associate video games with Christmas for me, and that's kind of why I went this route. Dean, you said you remembered every Christmas present you got for N96.
I do.
Can you?
The big present I got was a boombox looking thing, but it wasn't a boombox. It was portable. It had a handle, but it was, I don't know.
Big old speakers.
Yeah. You could take the speakers off and move them around.
Right.
I got 2 CDs to go with it, and I got Simon and Garfunkel's Greatest Hits. Because I was into Simon and Garfunkel, and Marilyn Manson, Portrait of an American Family. The 2 CDs that you would know that obviously go together. If you listen to one, you don't want to listen to the other. I also got a Smashing Pumpkins Zero shirt.
Nice.
And the other thing I got, I mostly got money from other people, but this is from my parents. And I got the Last Avenger story trade paperback. And I was in Walden Books. We were getting to pick our presents because I'm fucking 17, whatever. And I worked at the radio station then, so I'd been up all night working. And then we drove to Little Rock because you can't go anywhere to do anything in Batesville. And we were in Walden Books. I was looking at these 2 books, and that was one of them. My stepdad's like, we're only going to get you one of them. So I put back Nietzsche's Antichrist and decided to get Peter David's The Last Avenger story instead. I think that's it. We ate at Steak and Shake. Oh, well, let's see. My friends and I exchanged gifts too. I got a fucking tin full of cookies that was shaped like a bone. I don't fucking know what the deal is with that. My other friends, I got the Friday soundtrack. Another friend of mine got me one of those JLA figures, I want to say. It was Total Justice, or it was the ones that were JLA branded, and they got me the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. Wow. That's it. That's all. That's what I think I got for 96. Good year. Pretty good year.
Darry, can you remember back that far, man?
No, I don't remember a single thing that year. I'm sorry.
That's okay,
I don't have that total recall that he's got. I got no strong memories. I apologize.
So when did you guys get your 64? Do you recall? Okay. Darry, do you remember when you got yours?
I was supposed to get one in 97. Because in 97, it was 97, 98 was my senior year. And my stepdad was like, it's your senior year. We want to do something special for you for Christmas. And I was like, okay, well, why don't you buy me a PlayStation and WCW versus the World? Like, okay, cool. So then and I was like, and I'll buy myself an N64.
That's big plans.
Sure. And then 3 days before Christmas, my mom was like, we're not going to do that. We're not doing that. We don't think that you deserve it. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
So I went and bought a PlayStation, and I bought Tekken and Duke Nukem 3D that day. And that's why I don't have an N64. I never got enough money to get an N64 after that. Emily bought me one for Christmas, and I played it for like half a year. And then I was like, I don't like this controller. I'm going to sell it. So I sold it.
Oh, okay.
All right.
I think I would have liked it more if I'd been used to it from back in the day. But I played some of the wrestling games, and they were fun. And then I was like, you know what? I'll emulate this in the future if I want to deal with it. This controller is it's just different. It's just a lot different. I was too used to the PlayStation controller because that's what everybody's really used since then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair. I have never read a solo Greg Rucka story and just been like, that was worth my time and money. But anyway,
I love his Punisher.
He wrote Checkmate too. Actually, that's what I was thinking of when you were talking about that.
No, I think his Punisher is fantastic. I think he did a great job.
That's the one where he's got an eye patch for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, his eye got hurt.
No, I know. I say no reason because I was only reading the Daredevil part of that. So when the Omega Drive crossover happened, that's how I remember that. His Punisher showed up with, I don't know, a woman he was training and an eye patch. And I was like, I'm skipping the Rucka issues. I don't care.
And also, like, my first Punisher issue that I ever bought off the rack, Punisher Warzone number 5, his eye's fucked up in it. And then in number 6, he's got an eye patch thing. So I was like, hey, man, way to call that back. This is like young Nate again, be like, look at him. He doesn't even need 2 eyes to shoot people.
Greg Rucka, if you're listening to this, apparently Dean likes you. Does not like Jason Aaron, but likes you.
Yeah, I talked with Greg Rucka on the social media app formerly known as Twitter a long time ago, and he thanked me for it. So I liked that, genuinely liked it. And I'm not a big Rucka guy. I wasn't big into his Batman and stuff, but I thought that was good. I thought he had a great handle on Frank.
Yeah.
Well,
Frank Castle, by the way, not in this holiday special.
No. He's got his own.
No, he's got several. We'll do one of those next year.
I was going to say, that's got to be on the agenda at some point. Wow. All right.
We should hit all of them next year because he had like a summer special, a back to school special, and like a holiday special.
Man,
so we should do it all. Like we should do them
celebrating
at
those
the appropriate time. Hey kids, you ready to get back to school? Here's an issue where the Punisher shoots a guy with a barbed wire gun.
Yes.
Now get some notebooks. It's Mead 5-star, motherfucker.
Mead 5-star. Not a sponsor.
Lisa Frank for the ladies.
Yeah, that's right.
No, anybody can have Lisa Frank. That's dope.
I told my son, I said, hand me your Trapper Keeper.
Yeah.
And I don't think they use that terminology anymore because he had no idea what the hell I was talking about.
I love my Trapper Keeper.
And we used to use it as like a generic term, like Kleenex or Crayola or whatever. Like anything, even if it was just like a 3-ring binder, like hand me your Trapper Keeper.
Hand me the Trapper Keeper.
And if you were in school and said that, though, the people with Trapper Keepers, because they cost more with class, if you're like, hand me that Trapper Keeper, like, that is not a Trapper Keeper. I have a Trapper Keeper. You are trash and you don't have one, Nate. So don't say that your green binder is a Trapper Keeper.
Fucking Trapper Keeper.
I always go back to this when I talk to people about it. When I got the cards in 91 and got into buying more comics at the end of 91 into 92, Angel was already Archangel. When I heard the story, I was like, that is the coolest fucking thing I have ever heard in my fucking life. They crucified a dude with angel wings, and then he made a deal with the fucking apocalypse, and he got super death wings, and his skin turned blue, and he got a purple suit, the color of a slightly melted popsicle. This is the coolest thing I've ever goddamn seen. But if you had been reading the X-Men for 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, you'd be like, this is dumb as hell going on here. They don't know what they're doing. Angel's supposed to have angel. Archangel, what? Michael got horns? So I don't know, man. I try not to judge things for that reason, because to me that was cool, but for other people probably wasn't. And as things go on, they're not necessarily for me. What is for me? 90s comics forever.
Hell yeah.
You don't really, that's the other thing with these people who, not you, Darry, but people who complain a lot. I see this in the Facebook group a lot. They're complaining like, comics aren't like this now. I wish they still made comics like this. Brother, this comic exists. You can read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just read it. Don't badmouth anything now. There's plenty of great stuff that's coming out now. I'm sure I read a little bit of stuff, but I'm sure for a lot of people, there's fantastic stuff. It's not bad or good. It's just different. Most of it's probably just got to hit you at the right time, and the right time for you was probably 14 years old.
I mean, if nothing else, you're really into the epic collections. When has it been easier to get older books? And essentials, those are full color, they're affordably priced, and you get all the random stuff in there. I bought one of the Steve Gerber ones. There's stuff in there that has never been collected since it was originally printed, and they're just dumping those things out. I mean, you can buy it electronically, you can get it from your local library. anything you want to read now, you can. You don't have to read new stuff. You can. There's a lot of good stuff mixed in with the garbage, but that's always been the case.
That's always the case. That's always the case.
Always been the case.
I'll freely admit that there's a lot of comic books that I like growing up. Listen, I think Team Youngblood to this day is a fun thing to read, but most people don't think it's the greatest thing of all time. I don't care. I don't care how it's. I just like it. Or I used to like this comic book called Chain Gang War. I know it's not good.
Chain Gang?
Oh, Chain Gang War. It's like these guys in Gotham City who like have their own prison. It's dumb as hell.
I never heard of that.
Well, it's in the 90s. It's bad. But I bought it because it had a cool cover on number 1, like a fucking in foil Chain Gang War, and the chain was foil. And I read it, and it's not that great, but that's okay. I like Sleepwalker. A lot of it's not great. 8-Ball is the best villain of all time.
I agree.
Some Sleepwalker's not that great, but I like it. I don't care.
Well, Sleepwalker is Sandman done right. We all know that. We're all
Jesus Christ.
We're all
Sandman done right.
Do you don't know the story?
Jesse, do you know that story?
I have no idea.
That's not a me quote. That's a quote from a former editor in chief. Yeah. No.
Supposedly Tom DeFalco said it. Now, Tom DeFalco said he did not say this.
I have never heard anyone on the record say that they said it. Every time I've read it, it's been secondhand. It's been, I was in a meeting where so-and-so said this. Or so, I've heard it credited to Joe Quesada, who wasn't, I don't even know if he was at the company at the time.
He wasn't even there then.
No, I know. I'm saying it's a ridiculous thing to say. It's just, I like Sleepwalker as well. It's just funny to think that someone possibly could have said the best DC coming out right now, Sandman and Sleepwalker, they're basically the same, even though one's got green skin, bug eyes, and a weird purple turban, but they're basically the same character.
At one point, one of them is like, let's do a beautiful recreation of the streets of Baghdad, which was supposedly, when the Caliphate ruled over, it's one of the most beautiful streets of all time. And let's do a great story talking about like, the dreams of Muslims, and let's introduce that kind of thing into different ideas about dreams and into us and into comic books. One of them will team with Spider-Man and fight a crime boss named Crime Wade. Now, here's the thing. I don't. And we're way off track. I don't think anybody said that. I really don't.
No, me neither.
I think somebody said something like, "We're gonna do our Sandman." Or we're gonna try and do a Marvel. What would that look like in the Marvel universe? Yeah. But I don't think anybody was like, "Oh, this is Sandman done right." What the fuck? This is The Godfather Part 2 done right. Oh, finally, somebody will correct it. Great. You know,
man.
Have you ever cut down a Christmas tree?
No, I have not.
Have you, Jesse?
No, I have not.
Oh man, y'all are not missing out at all. I used to have to cut down when I was in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, I want to say. I was going to go cut down the Christmas tree with an axe and then drag it back up to the house. And like the first year we did it, my parents were like, "The Christmas tree's too big." Yeah, well, I'm 11, so I'm not really good at this. It's cold, and you probably shouldn't be asking me to do this. So there are a lot of people who are like, and I love Christmas, by the way. I'm a big fan, but there are a lot of people who have these weird like, "Oh man, do you remember all this stupid work we did?" Yeah, don't fall for it, right? Cutting down a Christmas tree and dragging it out, it's hard. It's hard work.
I think we had a live Christmas tree one time during Christmas with my family, and wasn't involved in the cutting. I don't know where in the world my stepdad got it, but I could tell you the probably the pine needles were a pain in the ass.
They are. They're not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze.
Right, dude.
So I had to cut this thing down and then keep up with it again and again. And then also we had cats, so my parents were like, "Keep the cats away from this tree." Again, I'm like 11. What is happening here?
This is a lot more work than I want.
It's a lot more work than anybody wants.
Right.
The juice is not worth the squeeze. Every time I think I have heard the best Dean Compton-ism, I get a new one and it goes on the list. It makes me so happy.
You can use that one. That's a good one.
Man. He should go to group.
He absolutely should go to group. Poor Alfred. Yeah. What the fuck?
Batman this seems kind of obvious now that I'm about to say it out loud, but I actually can't believe there's never been a story where Batman shows up at the Doom Patrol and was like, hey, this is like superhero freak show anonymous, right? Great. Well, my name is Batman and I've got more trauma than y'all combined. So pull up chairs. We're going to talk about this.
But if he did that, he would lose. Honestly, it's his greatest fear, because if he went to the Doom Patrol and heard their trauma, he would have to face the facts that every trauma victim does, which is somebody's trauma is worse than yours. And that can be very hard, because I don't know, man. I get it. Your parents were murdered in front of you, and that is super hardcore. But that guy is just a brain in a tin can.
Yeah.
And he didn't really ask to do this, but Bruce Wayne could not handle that, because then he would actually have to do some work on himself. But instead, he thinks the world should change for him, which is pretty good, because this world has these little Riddlers fucking around and Killer Croc. So I think he's necessary in the world in which he exists. But in our world, I would accuse him of not being willing to do the work that it takes to move forward as a person.
There's an episode of the Harley Quinn show, I think we've mentioned this on a previous episode, where Harley remembers like, oh, hey, I was a psychologist. Batman kind of needs help. And she basically works with him as his doctor for the entire episode. And at the end of the episode, he's kind of like, oh, man, yeah, being Batman was not a great coping mechanism. And I think you don't see him dress up as Batman for the rest of the season. So it's definitely there. Yeah. I mean, it makes the most sense in the world. It's like, what does Batman need? You throw a physical threat at him, he's going to overcome it. That's what Batman is, right? You throw any physical threat at him, he's going to figure out a
even mental threats.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of it, like, he'll solve Ra's al Ghul's fucking trap, or the Riddler's riddle, or if the Joker's making all the fish Joker face, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. That's what a gambit too, by the way. That's wild. But the thing he can't really face is this trauma. He just can't face it.
Yeah, there's a great line in Tom Taylor's Deceased, where after the thing that happens in that book has happened, Commissioner Gordon is talking to some of the Robins, and they're all like, man, your dad was screwed up. He was my friend, but he was screwed up. And then one of them just goes, yeah, no one really realized that. You probably could have taken him out with a really good emotional hug. And I just always love the idea of some villain being like, man, are you okay? Why are you doing this? And just giving him a good hug, and they have a good cry. And then that's that. Batman goes off and does whatever trust fund billionaires do. So
he would have been helpless against the Wally West Flash from JLU.
Yes, I agree. 100 headcanon accepted. Yeah, and
actually, that's kind of true, because
that's in those episodes. Yeah.
Where that's now how they fool the Justice Lords back.
Yeah. So, that's how they take out the Justice Lords. Is that great episode with
Wally
Orion?
West is the only one who fucks with him, like he's a regular person in a lot of ways, and tries to pal around with him. So that's just how it is. So he hugged once, and that's Batman. Now Batman could never defeat him.
Oh, Jesse, you got to watch all these episodes, man. There's an episode, Wally West and Orion, and they go to the Flash Museum, and nothing happens, and Mark Hamill's in it. Oh my god, I love it so much.
Flash and Substance,
Yes.
And don't forget the famous line. He's like, "You only touched me because I let you."
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the best. That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite Flash moments of all time. Because sometimes we're way off track or whatever, but Jesse doesn't look like he minds. But one of my favorite Flash things that people forget is actually being that fast would make you more Superman level than people think. Super speed means you can. Whenever people ask me what power I want, I'm like, I want to have the Infinity Gauntlet. I want to be omnipotent. And then people are like, this is supposed to tell us something about you. And I was like, doesn't it, motherfuckers? If this is some kind of psychological game thing, you just learn something about me. But okay, you have to pick something different. It's always super speed, because it just changes so many things.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine hitting somebody 500 times before they knew a fight had started.
Oh, yeah, dude.
They'd be dead.
It's
unbelievable.
It's true. Who do you think has more money on their personal balance sheet, Lex Luthor or Bruce Wayne?
Bruce Wayne.
Really?
Oh, man.
It should be Lex Luthor.
I feel like Lex Luthor, okay, when you say personal balance sheet, the stuff that people can see, because I feel like Lex would have.
Like Bruce's old money, right? The Waynes founded the city. They've got real estate holdings. They've got everything ever dug out of the ground on that island. A Wayne has controlled. So he inherited a significant trust of old money, of concerns. He's got a lot of businesses, right? There's a Wayne Aerospace if the story calls for it. There's a Wayne used car dealership if it calls for it. Lex, 9 times out of 10, was dirt poor. He's an internet billionaire, right? He woke up one day and he was like, oh, I need money if I'm going to continue to be like a crazy person who wants to kill an alien for no reason. Okay, here you go. Here's the internet. Here's a machine that turns lead into gold. Here's whatever you need because I'm brilliant and I have nothing but contempt for the rest of you. So he, in my mind, he is Bill Gates. He is the other ones, all the people who have absurd amounts of money, but they come from working class or poor background. So in my mind, it's Lex, but Lex doesn't value it. Lex has been poor 100 times. He'll spend $100 billion if it means Superman has a bad day. Whereas Bruce is like, no, this is my family's money, and I want to make sure that the foundation is always cared for and everything else. And my rockets always have jet fuel in them. So, but that was just a random thing because I like thinking about fictional economies.
If you mean who has more liquid money, it's Lex Luthor. If you mean who is worth more, if we take all of their holdings and investments, as Bruce Wayne.
That's fair.
That's fair. And it's for the reason you say. Bruce Wayne is old money. A lot of he had time to be. Yeah. He has a fortune that built upon a fortune that built upon a fortune that built upon a fortune. Yeah. But that also means that he's not going to keep a lot of liquid money. Lex Luthor probably takes $10,000 in cash everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
At least, if not more, in cash. Yeah. And he's got to have access to this money because he didn't have money. Yeah. So he's like, if I can't just pull out my American Express or Lex Express black card and be able to withdraw $200 million, what's the fucking point?
Yeah. Yeah. Lex is like, I had a bad day, so I bought your entire chain of restaurants and I fired everyone just because one of you got my order wrong.
Put pickle on my burger.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So all right, I agree with you.
So now there's no more McScrantons or whatever it's called.
Exactly.
That's it. You're like, hey, I know it'll cost the economy a bunch, but I'm just gonna pay back the taxes or whatever for the next 4 years.
Exactly.
And no one will care. And by that time, somebody else will buy these things from me, and I'll make big money in a real estate deal.
Yeah. Right, but I'll continue to control all the real estate and make more money in the back end. Yeah, exactly.
Bruce Wayne would meekly ask for no pickles. He'd be like, I'm sorry, you put pickles on.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I said too about the Batman animated series and the Bruce Wayne in this comic is it's not just when I say it's the archetypical Batman for me, it's also the Bruce Wayne I want. He's nice to his staff. He's very cordial. He's very polite. He's always willing to help. When he winds up in that work camp with those guys, he gives them jobs when they bust out. It's he's really a super good guy.
Bruce Wayne, I know you have very strong opinions about this, but I always tell people that in my mind, people are always like, he's got no superpowers. He should just give all his money away. I'm like, we aren't taught to understand what Bruce Wayne is. Bruce Wayne is someone who sees his wealth and his prosperity as part of the engine of change. He really does. He has no desire to be arbitrarily wealthy. The only reason he even bothers to keep up appearances is because A, it's his father's name, and B, he wants to be able to fund superheroes, right? I mean, that's what Batman Incorporated is about. But he really, I agree with Dean. I think everyone he meets, if I give you a job, you'll stop potentially hurting people. Great, you have a job. Here, it's I own 3 buildings on that street. Go into any one of them and hand them this card. I always go back to the Wayne Foundation. What does the Wayne Foundation do? It probably funds every grant in Gotham. It probably loses money every single year, but he doesn't care because even in the movie, they're like, hey, you got to stop doing this. It's like, no, did we make money this year? Fund it. Do that. Every orphanage is going to have to go back to your Blues Brothers example. No orphanage in Gotham is getting closed. Call the Wayne Foundation. They'll buy it from you. Don't worry about it. I always think about that. It's like, Batman can punch out the Joker. He can outthink the Riddler. He can defeat Darkseid, the god of evil, but he's also going to make sure that the money is always being used to service those who have nothing. So,
yeah, I mean, and the thing is listen, in real life, I have a lot. It would be bad if somebody was doing this and had billions. Yes, they should just liquidate their billions and actually because honestly, it would take a paltry amount. It would take less than $10 billion to eradicate world hunger. So if you have $20 billion and you don't do that, that's monstrous on some level. Why wouldn't you do that? We'd all do that, right?
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is a comic book. So in the fake world, it doesn't work. The Wayne Foundation pumps, like you're saying, $27 billion a second into Gotham City. It won't change anything because Gotham City is as much a character as anything else. And Gotham City is always going to spawn a Joker. So Batman can't change anything by stopping being Batman. And we don't have real problems. A fucking guy who makes big freaking puzzles and then demands somebody solve them while he giggles maniacally. But otherwise, every bridge in town is going to collapse. We don't have that in real life, so you need Batman in this world to exist. And we're talking about the real world. Yes, this would be morally abhorrent that a really rich billionaire was giving himself lots of money to go kick the shit out of the indigent poor and mentally ill. In the DC universe, if you didn't do it, they'd all die.
Right.
It's true. It's a different rule. So I say that to everybody. They're like, why doesn't he put more money in there? Because all the money is fake, you fucking idiot. It's Gotham City. It's just like he pumps a lot in there. Same thing with Tony Stark. I say the same thing. He gives tons of money away. Why does he solve anything? Because it's the Marvel universe.
But he does solve things, right? The second they found Cap in the ice, he was like, oh, this Avengers thing? This might work. I'm going to make sure that...
Well, I'm talking about social problems.
No, but I do too. I mean, think about it. The Maria Stark Foundation is a nonprofit, and it funds superhero activities. And every time the Skrull Armada shows up in the sky, it's not S.H.I.E.L.D., SWORD, or the U.S. military who stops them. It's a World War II veteran and whatever 6 child soldiers he has behind him who make sure that the Skrulls don't push down the Washington Monument. I'm saying they are ultimately funded by the Maria Stark Foundation. That's a social...
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yeah, no, I agree with that. That's what I'm talking about. But Maria Stark also has, I'm sure, school lunch programs for kids, great stuff for impoverished youth, and horse therapy for kids, which apparently they probably fund all that kind of stuff. That's the thing, but it won't matter because it's fake. You can't.
Yeah.
Why haven't they fixed all the problems in the Marvel universe? I don't know, man. You're right. Reed Richards should have invented a gizmo that fixed everything a long time ago, but it's fake, so they're not gonna.
He's too busy ignoring his wife, right?
Oh
that's the whole thing. He's too busy ignoring it. He's too busy ignoring his wife.
No. We ain't doing it.
Okay.
I like Reed Richards. He's my friend.
I like Reed too, but I just wish one modern writer would go back to the way Kirby and Lee used to do it, where he was just a dick. He was Hank Pym without the violence. He just, oh man, he was a real complex character back.
I can't believe you just said that.
Oh man, I love pushing Dean's buttons.
That is a terrible thing to say, and you can say you're sorry.
I am. I'm very sorry, but it was still worth the reaction.
I mean, it was that's fine, but you understand. I just gave you Dean's disapproving look number 2.
You did. I got it. If I had a punch card, I'd be owed a free sandwich. I get that look so often.
Right. A knuckle sandwich, motherfucker.
Did we finish talking about Joker? Are we on to New Year's Eve? I don't even know anymore. Jesse, keep us back on the road.
I'm supposed to keep you guys on track here?
Yeah.
It's Christmas, so we're having fun, everybody.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true.
Let me also point out what a travesty that would have been when Joker interrupted the college football game on 2 levels. Number one, as a master control operator, you're going to have to write that up. And you're going to have to write up the time and start timing into everything. And you're just and they're going to come ask you more about it. Like you had anything. So when the Joker came on and threatened to kill everybody in the fucking world for the new year, did you think about going to your B stream? And yeah, he was on it too. Okay. What about the third backup? Because it's probably a big deal. It's a big bowl game. The other thing is this would be a bigger deal now than then, where you can gamble almost anywhere in America on your phone. You'd have to give all those bets back, right?
Oh man.
I mean, maybe not, but I think that there's enough of a truncation to where somebody could be like, I don't know what people are there. That's the thing. And maybe if they still had it on tape, you wouldn't. But I know some people, if they lost, would try and get their money back if they lost a significant bet. They'd be like, how do I know Joker messed with his feed? How do I know he didn't mess with the fucking game?
It's true.
I'm just messed up. How can I? And I don't know what that would look like. Anyhow, I know this is a silly thing to be concerned about. And again, earlier, I spent a whole lot of time ranting. I'm like, oh, their money's fake. And here I am, like, what did the people gambling do? what happened? You know, I mean, like, it is all fake, but it's interesting.
Well, you know what you could do to take your example and extend it a little bit. You got to imagine that if the legit gambling on sports is interrupted, you can just open the, what was it, roulette from Justice Society app, right?
Yeah,
Do you remember this?
Yeah.
Where you could then place a bet on, oh, two super people are fighting. Great. Who's going to win, right? And the house is like, oh, we'll cover all bets. And then it's just like, okay, yeah, Joker's going to win this time. I got a feeling.
It's Bolt versus Icicle, folks, coming up soon.
Exactly. Tell me that wouldn't be the best money-making scheme in the DC universe. Is roulettes, oh man, having these giant underground fighting things was a problem. They keep getting broken up, but I just moved the whole thing to the internet, and I hosted in one of those countries you're not allowed to go to if you're in the Justice League, and I make more money than I ever did before. So
I would go a step further, actually. I would just have it in this day and age because of how society has changed. I just feel, listen, it's been legitimized. For a while, UFC wasn't allowed, allowed on pay-per-view, but now with gambling, people are always looking for something else to watch, something else to gamble on. So if she's willing to do these few things and make sure everything's genuinely, consensual, well, let's put it on. And FanDuel or DraftKings would just show it, and then it would make her an even more interesting villain, kind of how the Penguin is now for Batman, where he's just straight and narrow enough to where Batman doesn't want to spend the time and expend the effort and resources to take down the piddly shit he's doing, but he's not so straight and narrow that he can just be like, go away, Batman, nothing's happening here. So you can kind of put roulette in a situation like that, but maybe for an even larger piece of the DC universe, and it would also show us keeping up with the times. The times have changed as far as how we look on people fighting each other for money and gambling on it. At this point, if the people are coming in there and they want to fight and they train to fight and she's promoting the fight, what's she doing wrong?
It's true.
Now, she may still be a bad person and still be up to some shit, but make it around the edges, just kind of real boxing and fighting is. There's always some shady stuff going on around the edges there. We all kind of know it. So make that's more interesting than just, oh, she puts on these fights and she mind controls them and does it. Let's move forward. Let's put a new angle on this. I'm talking to you, who's ever in charge of Jim Lee, I guess. I don't know who's in charge.
Tell Jim Lee all about it.
Jim Lee,
Jim Lee, draw a roulette pinup right now.
This is a 90s podcast. If there's one man we owe the decade to, it's Jim Lee.
It's true. It's interesting you talking about this real quick. I just finished the 30 for 30 on Jimmy the Greek. Back then, he wanted to distance himself from gambling, even though he was Jimmy the Greek who would throw the odds out there. And I was sitting there thinking, man, this day and age, this guy.
I gambled on my phone during the game.
Right, dude.
I gamble that someone will score a touchdown or hit a home run on the next drive or at the next at bat. Yeah, it's a different world. It's a different world. I have an app to buy marijuana and I have an app to gamble. And that just seems 15 years ago. What?
Dude, what the hell? Right, dude. For sure.
Do you guys know the connection between comics and Jimmy the Greek?
I don't think I do.
Not off the top of my head. I do remember one exists.
His son is a famous comic art dealer.
The guy was being interviewed in that documentary, but I did not know this. No.
He's a famous comic art dealer. If you go to any of a litany of conventions that are held during the year and you look for original art, he's probably there. He's probably got it. Yeah.
No shit.
He's the son of Jimmy the Greek. Yeah,
he bought it from all the people who stole it from Jack Kirby. Interesting.
No, I've met him. He's a good guy, but
at this point with a lot of that stuff, especially pre-DC, from what I understand, he got his art back from DC and stuff, but anything pre-1975, at this point, it's gone through so many hands, you could never be this guy
the actual it. Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just couldn't do it. It would be hard to do. That doesn't mean we shouldn't do it. And I know some people who do, and God bless them, but I also understand why at this point I'm not doing that. I don't collect original art though. I'm sure this guy, I'm glad this guy's a good guy. There's something even skeevier about that world than just buying comic books is, and it's already can be a little skeevy.
I love Gotham as a setting. Because I love it's the idea of what if New York had a stroke? What if all the stories and the chuds and everything was what defined New York, right? You get Gotham. And I love the fictional versions of things, right? In the movie, we saw their Statue of Liberty has a giant sword. There's, instead of Central Park, they have Robinson Park, named after Joker co-creator, probably creator at this point, Jerry Robinson. And I hate the fact that it's just Gotham Square. We have Times Square. Do you guys have any suggestions of what their version town Times Square should be named. Not Finger Square sounds a little weird. I thought maybe like Gazette Square, since Times Square is named after the New York Times. But I don't know what could be that iconic. I was mulling this over in my head.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. I'm going to defer to Dean on this one. He's the
Dean knows everything.
I would actually, my favorite Batman artist of all time is Jim Aparo, and I would name it after him. I think he's one of these. I think he's the most definitive Batman artist that doesn't get described as such. This guy drew the Cape Crusader from the 70s into the 90s. He's drawn a Nightfall and didn't really miss a beat. I would call it Laparo Point.
Oh,
I'd put an E on the end of point just to make it even better.
I love it.
Wow. You had that ready to go. That was in the chamber. You had that ready to go, man.
I just thought of it just now. Sorry. I'm not the guy from Madison Square Garden. He was ready to go. I just thought about it, and I don't think Jim Aparo gets enough love. I don't think he gets enough credit. And then I was like, let's name it after him. And I didn't want to just go with Square. I was just starting batting some stuff around.
Very good.
Actually, I like that better because in my mind, I think Denny O'Neil once said Gotham is New York below 14th Street, which means it doesn't have a grid. So I actually like the idea that where they have the ball drop wouldn't be a square, wouldn't be a grid. It would be a point.
It would be a point.
How about that? I just lucked into that. So I've heard what I told Emily yesterday. We were talking about this because I was reading it was Metropolis is New York City during the day, and Gotham City is New York City at night.
Yeah, Metropolis is you go to New York, you have the grid, the sun's up, there's a cop on every corner. It's touristy, it's beautiful. You go to Ellis Island, you go to
85 hot dog vendors every block.
I'm saying nothing, you see no rats, the whole thing, it's great. Everyone nods towards you. And then the sun goes down, you have wandered into the meatpacking district, it's freezing, half the lights don't work, then you're in Gotham, right? That's the difference.
There's only 10 hot dog vendors per block now, so you know you're in trouble.
Yeah. I mean, it works too, because every once in a while they'll try to say, well, Metropolis was a hellhole before Superman showed up. It's like, no, it wasn't. Shut up. And I like the idea.
I just don't believe that. I don't believe that.
But I also like the idea that Gotham will always be this way. One thing we haven't talked about, we keep talking about BTAS. BTAS led to Batman Beyond, which I think is one of the best Batman reinventions of all time. And the central premise there is that Batman wins every battle he thinks to fight, and Gotham still continues to be a hellhole, right? It's the law of the story. Gotham's never going to be a nice place to live, and the next Batman's got to carry on that crusade. So it's a very vibrant setting. Finger really did. He did it well when he made that.
When I say Metropolis is New York City during the day and Gotham City is New York City at night, that doesn't necessarily mean that one's evil and one's good. A lot of great things happen in New York City at night. There's a reason you call it the city that never sleeps. There's a lot of fun things to be had. There's a lot of great things to do. And for the most part, if you mind your business, nothing will be bad. Hey, leave before 2 a.m. and mind your business, and everything will mostly be fine. And in Metropolis, hey, bad stuff happens in New York during the daytime. People sometimes, they get mugged, or they get in a wreck, or they get ripped off by some fucking street hustler or whatever. Listen, there's a reason that they both have heroes. If Metropolis was perfect, it wouldn't need Superman at all. It certainly wouldn't need Superman. It takes somebody in Metropolis who has a lot of genuine hard power, but uses it softly. And in Gotham, you need somebody with soft power who is willing to be very quick and efficient and use it in a hard way. And if you guys understand the political theory of soft power and hard power, what it is, you know what I'm talking about when I compare Superman and Batman. So I think there's something to that because of how those things work. Batman can't clean up what happens in Metropolis because you can't ninja kick Lex Luthor. He doesn't care. I have just as much money as you, Bruce, except you have like $1 more. That's what always happens. Always it's like $1 more. He has Uncle Scrooge's lucky fucking dollar, right? And but he can he'll work his own thing. Superman has to figure out a way to beat him in a different way and to stave that off. Just like Superman, when he goes to Gotham and he's trying to question the Joker, nobody cares. Whatever, you're not going to do anything.
Thanks for joining us. Unspoken Issues is part of the UnspokenDecade.com, the home for 90s comics, blogs, and podcasts. Unspoken Issues also has a Facebook group you can join if you are interested. Just search the Unspoken Issues podcast and request to join. All of this would not be possible without W2Mnet.com and the Rattleitch Broadcasting Network, so make sure to seek them out for more podcasts. If you enjoyed what you heard today, please feel free to share, and we look forward to entertaining you again soon.